Earlier in the week, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, said the country's power supply that once peaked at 5,000 megawatts is now down to and hovering at around 2,800 megawatts. Adegboyega, what exactly is happening in the power sector in Nigeria?
Well, basically, Tunji, we celebrated as a nation on February 2nd when we had peak generation at 5,074 megawatts. Now, what you've had since then, one are infrastructural issues that have resulted, infrastructural issues and vandalism that has resulted in a decline of about 150 megawatts. Then you've had gas supply issues that has also impacted power generation. Now, a lot of the plants, out of about 13 plants that we have for power generation, if I'm correct, about 11 of them are thermal-based. So they require gas. So basically, whenever you have gas supply issues... Which one of them attributed to this huge drop? There were actually two of them, Lagos and Jebba. Now, Lagos is Egbe. Egbe is the largest in terms of installed capacity, about 1,320 megawatts.
So how much of that was lost?
In between, what they said was in between Lagos and Jebba, you lost about, conservatively, 150 megawatts. But a lot of it was, like I said, due to gas in other areas.
So now looking at what I mean, do you have power in your house as you were leaving the house this morning? Because I'm looking at the fact that, okay, looking at the distribution, PowerFacts, we're seeing the distribution peak power demand is still at 14,000. So we're still nowhere near.
We're still nowhere near it, actually.
Supplying that demand. And what we have right now is average supply is about 4,161, yes. And we're talking about the fact that we're 2,800, which isn't good enough.
Yes.
So what are the authorities doing to stop this?
Now, see, Tunji, the first challenge you actually have as a nation is our installed capacity is what, 8,000, give or take about 8,000 megawatts. Now, you have a transmission infrastructure that can only take, at peak capacity, 5,500. So that means even if Nigeria generates the 8,000 megawatts, as a nation, you can only transmit and distribute 5,500 of that. Now, a lot of this erosion in terms of transmission infrastructure has happened over time. Mind you, in the previous structure, NEPA, or PHCN, was both regulator and operator. Now, the government has had success in its reforms by breaking that down into three, where you have GENCOs, you have the transmission, and you have the DISCOs. But where you've had reform in the generation space and you've had reform in the distribution space, you have done little or nothing in the transmission space. We would need approximately $1 billion over 10 years to actually grow our transmission, to grow our transmission infrastructure. Now, the plan is that by 2020, we should be about 11,000, let's say about 11,600 megawatts, which is still short of 14,000.
What we should be doing.
But the thing is, if you can get 11,000 and you can meter, because the problem right now also is one of metering. Yeah.
All right, do stay with us. Business Nigeria continues in a bit.